Peterson from yesterday's press conference, first day of training camp. So he hinted that the Eagles might not be done looking at cornerback, a position that is clearly a glaring weakness on the roster. So here's what Doug Peterson said yesterday. Well, again, it's a position that we continue to look even outside as we do every position. And as you know, we're going to continue to look and try to bring guys in if we can and just create as much competition at that spot. You know, it's obviously a spot that we're going to keep our eye on throughout camp, and now it gives a couple of our younger guys, you know, Jalen Mills and guys like that, a chance to really get in there and get valuable reps. So that quote from Doug Peterson yesterday has now led to articles being written today about the Eagles potentially trading for Kyle Fuller. There was a post today from Elliott Short Parks. I believe Brandon Lee Gouton wrote something as well from Bleeding Green Nation. So Kyle Fuller, 25-year-old cornerback from the Chicago Bears. This is the name that's been very popular the last couple hours and guys that people are talking about. All right, so here's what I'll say about Fuller. If the Eagles do make a trade involving Fuller, it's almost like the DGB situation from last year. You're potentially going to add a guy that probably not going to be a high price, but the ceiling obviously is worth the risk for a guy like Fuller. Now, I will say this too. I think the name is better than the player. I think we all remember Kyle Fuller and we love Kyle Fuller because of what he did on one Monday night football game against the Jets during his rookie season. He had 3 interceptions within his first 3 games. He was great. And then after that, he kind of fell off a little bit. And, well, he hasn't been the same player. So what do I see from Kyle Fuller as a player? I think he's a guy that has quick feet. I think he can mirror receivers. But in terms of ball skills, I don't think he has that. I don't think he puts himself in position to make plays, but he doesn't make plays. So he's like Brandon Boykin in that sense, if you remember him. But, hey, if you have an opportunity to add this guy, I mean, being 25 years old, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, what would you have to give up for him? Well, Eagles do have 3 fourth-round picks. And you know, maybe you send a 4th over to Chicago, but I think a 4th is too much for Kyle Fuller. So I think it would maybe be like a 4th for Fuller and potentially a 7th round pick in return. You know, maybe the Eagles get something in return. And the thing you got to keep in mind too, Joe Douglas spent a year with the Bears. The Eagles' director of pro scouting, Dwayne Joseph, was in Chicago when the Bears drafted Kyle Fuller. So there is a history between the Eagles, Joe Douglas and Joseph in terms with Chicago. So there's a relationship there. And then also for the Bears, you look at it this too. I mean, they just gave away a shit ton of picks to move up 1 spot to get Mitch Trubisky. So they obviously need some draft compensation. So the deal makes sense all the way around. We'll just see. Draft picks are gold. Don't give them away. Well, I wouldn't consider them giving them away if you guys got a chance to get Kyle Fuller. If you give up a 4th though, I think you got to get a 7th back. So we got Sproles for a 5th. No way he's worth a 4th. Well, Sproles for a 5th. I remember at the time that was a joke because he should have gone for a 3rd. Everyone around the NFL circles like, wow, you only needed a 5th to get Darren Sproles. So that's kind of what I remember from that. Yeah, so we'll see. But here's the thing too, all right? So Kyle Fuller isn't the only name that's out there. There are free agents that are still out there that you wouldn't have to even give up a pick for. So now, guys aren't sexy now, and there's a reason why a lot of these guys aren't signed yet. But the name that I will throw out there is Alteron Werner. This is a guy that was paid a lot of money a couple of years ago. He made the Pro Bowl with the Titans in 2013. Then he got a big contract from Tampa Bay, and because of that contract, he was cut this offseason, and he hasn't been signed since. Some other guys that are out there, I am not interested in any of these guys. You have Darrelle Revis. I've made a video on him. Don't want him. Brandon Flowers. He's 31 now. I don't want him. Leon Hall is 33. Tremont Williams is 34. Another name that is out there that I would be interested in is Sam Shields, but he suffered his 4th concussion last year, and he's going to take the year off to recover. He announced this on his Instagram account. So basically, the only guys that I would be interested in are Werner and Fuller of the guys that are left. So there you go. Now, the other thing to keep in mind too, all right? There are 2 players in the Eagles right now that I'm very interested in at cornerback to see what they can do. You got C.J. Smith and Aaron Grimes. So I'm really, really curious to see how these 2 develop in terms of this season, because the biggest weakness on this roster and the main reason why I don't think the Eagles are making the playoffs is the cornerback spot. If you cannot consistently stop a quick 3-step drop, if you can't stop the quick passing game, the Eagles will not be generating any pressure on any quarterbacks. So that's the way I look at that. If the Eagles can get average cornerback play, if they get some guy, if Rasul Douglas develops quicker than anybody could have thought, you know, let's say C.J. Smith or Aaron Grimes, let's say they kill it this year and they play like, I don't know, say Ben Wickery did for the Panthers a couple years ago. Then all of a sudden, yeah, I think the Eagles are a playoff team, because all of a sudden you let that defensive line do their thing and they can get after the quarterback. So that's the way I look at this season. If the Eagles can get solid to average cornerback play, I think they have a good shot at winning the division. So exactly, Stainhouse, maybe. Sorry about that. Didn't see the rest of that. So anyway, yeah, I will take comments now and questions, because I just wanted to say what I wanted to say, and I got it out. So now we'll look at whoever, anyone has any opinions or anything. So now I will say, like, I'm not going to go all in on Kyle Fuller. I may not be as high on him as everybody else is. Bring back McKelvin. Leotis McKelvin was so bad. Oh, man. Whew. Somebody was joking with me the other day, like, who was worse, Leotis McKelvin or Bradley Fletcher? Now, I gave that nod to Fletcher, but McKelvin was just as bad. Werner just got signed. When did Werner get signed? Bring back Brandon Boykin. See, okay, that's a good point you make, Sean. Available corners are all flawed. All right, so here's what I have to say about that, okay? Because it's, again, if you think back to the Tennessee situation, everybody last year, including myself, was like, oh my God, why would the Titans do this? You know, like, and then you hear the reports of, you know, how DGB's lazy and all this stuff, and then we found out how lazy he really was. Well, the Bears, they signed some guys in free agency. They signed Prince Amukamara. They signed Marcus Cooper. They signed some cornerbacks. And a lot of the beat writers don't think that he's coming back this year. So bring back Kerry Williams. Oh, man. Oh, man. Now we're... Oh, I'll tell you what. If some of those quarterbacks were on this team, oh, jeez. Make room on the roster for Lucky Whitehead. I made this joke on Twitter yesterday, you know, take a shot every time a new cowboy gets arrested. You get lit real quick. So, yeah, man. Whitehead is, hey, I tell you what, Whitehead is greater than Bryce Treggs. Kerry wasn't that bad, actually. I don't know, it depends on what your definition of bad is, I guess. I mean, like, the Eagles have been so bad at cornerback recently that actually he wasn't that bad compared to everybody else. But, okay, why not? Asamoah. Oh, Asamoah. Asamuga. Is Jalen Mills solid to you? Well, Jalen Mills is solid considering he's a 7th round pick from last year. So, like, you know, I wouldn't mind Sam Shields. Sam Shields is not going to play this year to recover from a concussion. So, but that was a name I listed earlier, was Sam Shields. Shields is a guy that's like he's a good deep cover guy. That's what he does well. Poor Namdi had to eat lunch by himself. Yeah, I know. I've never in my life seen a player eat his lunch in his own car. Any thoughts on adding Carlos Hyde? I don't think the Eagles can do it, because if okay, you're gonna cut Ryan Matthews, that's great, but I don't know. Do they have the money for it? Yo, what up, Eric? I mean, Carlos Hyde is the guy that, like, I don't know if he would fit this scheme. I don't know. Did anyone sign Revis yet? He's still a free agent. I've heard a couple guys that want Carlos Hyde. I've heard it. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if we have the money, and if they want Carlos Hyde, they would have to be cool with giving up Smallwood, I guess. Joe Hayden is better than Revis. That is correct. Browns have no pass rush. We'll see what kind of pass rush they get this year with Garrett being on the roster. So, where's your film breakdown on the rugby player? That ain't happening, bruh. We'll see about that rugby player. I'd take a 1-year deal on Revis. Man. Need a locker room, respected guy, some guys to look up to. All right. I'm not really seeing any more questions, so I'm going to end this now. I got to go pick up dinner, so I got to go get burgers. But, yeah. I'm going to have a video later tonight, I think, maybe, potentially. Either tonight or tomorrow, of 6 guys to look out for during training camp. So, yeah. Draft Geist, Barkley, or Freeman. Yeah, they're going to go draft somebody next year. Like, that's another video I'm going to do, too, on Le'Veon Bell. I'd rather have the Eagles draft somebody than sign Le'Veon Bell. Joe Hayden would be cheaper and is younger than Revis. I mean, touchdown interception for Wentz this year, I got 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I think something like that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop out. Later.